Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live, where we will be creating a sympathy card using some new upcoming product, and I'll be sharing a fun, simple technique. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Sherwood Park, Alberta, and every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, I go live with a crafting project. So welcome. If you are a first-time watcher, make sure that you comment below where you're watching from. And normally I start off by doing a draw for last week's project, and I completely forgot. It's been a crazy busy morning already. It's only 9:30 and I'm already behind. So I forgot to do that before I went live. I kind of ran out of time. So I will do that later on today and announce the winner. All right. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, today we are going to play with some masking paper. So this is a product that is in the annual catalog, and I was so excited to see it because there are a surprising number of things that you can do with masking paper. Actually, so many so that I've got an upcoming class, which I'll share towards the end of this video. I'll share a little peek at the projects coming up in January. Now the deadline was supposed to be yesterday, but I've extended it until Sunday because I really wanted to share kind of one of the ideas with you today. All right, so we're going to start by taking a sheet of masking paper and we're going to cut some strips. Okay, so I've got a partial piece here. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. We're just getting right down to business this morning. All right, so I'm going to cut 1/4 inch strips, okay, and I need 4 of them. So I've got my 1 strip here. I've already cut 3 more strips, so I've got those there. And then I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper and a piece of basic white cardstock. This piece measures 3 3/4 by 5, and now this is the trickiest part of the whole technique, is trying to separate this. There is a seam, but unfortunately the way I cut it, I did not hit the seam. Let's see if we can use a paper trimmer or a paper piercing tool here. Just separating this backing is the trickiest part. So our masking paper, I believe it's about 5 by 7, and it is like almost like a Post-it adhesive. So it's meant to be tacky, but you can peel it off and it won't tear your cardstock or ruin your cardstock. You do still have to be careful when you remove it. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the strips around the edges of my white cardstock. So lining it right up with the edge, and cutting them long serves the added purpose of holding our cardstock in place, because we're going to do some ink blending on this piece. All right, so how's everybody doing today? Can you guys believe that we are just over a week away from Christmas? My gosh, it's crazy. I spent 3 hours last night wrapping gifts and I'm not done. I still have a few more to do, but the bulk of them are done, which makes me feel good. Makes me feel ahead of the game because that's usually what I'm doing on Christmas Eve after we come back from celebrating with my husband's family. I'm usually up late wrapping gifts, so I'm glad that most of that is done. All right, I've not done any baking yet. I'm not a huge baker, I don't do a lot, but my family loves my butter tarts, so I will definitely be making some butter tarts. This one looks like I'm a little bit shy. Okay, all right, so we've added our masking paper strips around the edges of our white cardstock. Now we're gonna do some ink blending, and I'm gonna use 2 different colors. I'm gonna use Balmy Blue and Tahitian Tide. So we're gonna start with the lightest color. And I'm going to work my way from one end part way up, probably about 2/3 of the way up. All right, and so when you're ink blending, I find I have more success if I use a really light hand and I start light and just add lots of layers. Rather than pushing hard and trying to get a nice dark look, you really want to start or just add more layers, and you get a nice smooth inking if you use a really light hand. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. Like I said, about 2/3 of the way up. I love ink blending. I was so excited to see a smaller size blending brush in the January to April mini catalog and some blending brush storage. Super excited. Actually, maybe I'll share a photo later today of my blending brush storage. We were only allowed to pre-order one of the storage units, but you can better believe January 5th I will be ordering a few more of those so that I can hold all of my blending brushes. All right. Good morning. Happy Friday to you too, Shauna. Good morning, Darlene. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Barb. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. All right. We'll add another layer here. Okay, I think that's good for now. I might come back and add a little bit more. Now I'm going to rotate my paper. And I'm going to bring in my Tahitian Tide and switch out my blending brush. And I'm going to start off with the paper. This is a little bit of a darker color. I don't want any harsh lines, so I'm going to start off with my paper and work my way on. Good morning, Betty from Simcoe, Ontario. Good morning, Layla. Oh, did you guys get lots of snow yesterday? I heard that there was a big storm down east. Okay, so we'll just keep going until I get the color that I want. So I'm going down and I'm overlapping the balmy blue just a little bit, but I'm going for not a super ombre look, but I do want it to be a little bit darker at the top and then gradually get a little bit lighter. I do want there to be like a distinction between the two blues. Oh, not that much. Okay, good. That's good. This is a good arm workout. All right. Oh, you're supposed to get a little bit on Sunday? Okay. Is that where is Ontario, is that where that big storm that they've been talking about is supposed to hit? My husband always has the news on in the evenings, and I don't really watch it. I just kind of listen while I'm working around the house or making supper or whatever, so I don't really pay too much attention. Okay, so now I'm just going back over with some balmy blue just to make sure that that transition is really nice. Oh, wet snow. Yeah, that's really bad. It's so heavy, hey? Okay, so this is going to be my top, and you can see it gradually gets a little bit darker as we go, or a little bit lighter as we go down. So now what I'm going to do, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' Spritzer, and I'm not going to spritz. So these, you get a package of 2 of these, and I just have some tap water in here. You can also put rubbing alcohol in it and mix it with some ink refills to get like a mist, a colored mist, which is really fun. But I just have tap water in here, but I'm not going to spray it. I'm actually going to take this out and tap. I'll do a little bit more. I think I need to add some more water to this. Okay. So I'm going to tap, and then I've got a little scrap piece of paper towel here. I'm just going to dab this. And then look at this fun technique. It removes some of the ink where the water splatters are. It looks so cool. And it's so simple, but then when you remove your... Actually, you know what? I don't want to remove that just yet. I have one more thing to do before I remove that. I'm just looking at my sample. I want to make sure I do it right here. I'm going to take some balmy blue, and I am actually going to use products from a new sweet. It's called, well, the bundle is called the Two Toned Flora Bundle. So it's got these beautiful floral images, and it's got these dies, and then there's a detailed die as well that is part of it. So I'm going to use, first of all, this leaf image to stamp the background. Okay, somebody had a question here. Let me go back. Betty had a question. How would you make shimmer spray? Okay, if you wanted shimmer spray, if you have a product that we carried in the past called shimmer paint, it was a white. I think it was called Frost White Shimmer Paint. You can add some, I believe it was rubbing alcohol, a couple drops of that shimmer paint in there, and it would give you a shimmer spray. You could also even add in there a drop or two of ink refill to have a colored shimmer spray. Because we don't carry that product anymore, I don't know if, I'm just wondering if you mixed, I have not tried this, if you mixed a little bit of our Wink of Stella in with this. So our Wink of Stella, I believe, let me just, yeah, see, I think you can take this off. Oh, maybe, well, maybe if you squeezed a few drops in there, mixed it with some rubbing alcohol, you might be able to get a little bit of shimmer. I'm not sure. That would have to be something that you played around with and tried. Because I don't think we have anything else that is shimmery that would work. Does anybody have any or know of anything else? Like that white shimmer paint, I loved that white shimmer paint when we carried it. It was so great. I made shimmer mist in all sorts of different colors. But unfortunately, it's just not something that we carry anymore. So Betty, hopefully you have some of that. All right, so I'm taking this leaf image and I'm gonna stamp it a couple times. I'm gonna stamp it once here, and then we're gonna go another time right about here. Now it does overlap and look a little bit messy there, but that's okay. That's gonna get covered over. Okay, so now we can remove our masking paper, and you do want to be a little bit careful. You don't want to go too quickly or be too rough with it, because even though it is like a post-it or a temporary adhesive on the back, it can sometimes tear your cardstock. And look at that fabulous, nice, crisp border that you get. Yes, yes, you can do that. And Shauna said, Betty, that you can brush this onto a clear block and then splatter. You can also use this like this, squeeze it just a little bit and use your bone folder and splatter like that. And that will give you a splatter. But if you're looking for a mist, then that's a little bit of a different look. But yeah, if you want a shimmery splatter, you can definitely do that with your Wink of Stella. Okay, so now we'll just remove all of these borders. And this guy. Is anybody else like super stuffed up the last couple days? Oh my gosh, like I've been sneezing and my nose has been running. I've never been tested for allergies, but I'm pretty sure I have some. So I'm opened my windows today. I'm hoping that I can get some fresh air in here. I find I'm really good until we have to turn the furnace on, and then once we have to turn the furnace on, then I just feel like I get all stuffed up. And all right, and look at that border. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so it's not just me. So maybe it has to do with the weather. I don't know. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add this to a piece of Balmy Blue. So this piece was 3 3/4 by 5. This piece is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive around the edges. Our multi-purpose glue is a really, really good glue, and you don't need a lot of it. Okay. All right, and then that is going to go onto our white card base. So I shared this technique over on my team Facebook group yesterday. Every Thursday I do a Facebook Live where I either do like a little bit of training. So sometimes it's like some sort of little tip that you need to know on our Stampin' Up! Demo site. Sometimes it's a product technique like this. Sometimes it's, I don't know, it's just something fun. Sometimes I talk about an upcoming promotion. So every Thursday I just kind of pop in, do a quick Facebook Live with some little nugget of information for my team. Sorry, just need to wipe my nose. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Now we need to work on our focal point. So I'm going to, again, pull an image from this Two Toned Flora. And I'm going to use this one. So this is a 2-step stamp, which means that there's a couple images that kind of go together. So you can stamp this solid image and then this detailed image on top to give it a bit more detail and depth. So that's what we're going to use. And we're going to use a combination of Calypso Coral and Petal Pink. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this. Now this is, I should have paid attention to how I mounted these. There are some little dots in the center, and that's how I line these up. I found that that's the easiest way to line them up. So I'm stamping in Petal Pink first. I'm going to do 3 of them. And then I'm going to come in with my Calypso Coral to add the detail. Now there's one little dot that's kind of off to the side, and that's what I use to kind of gauge it so that it's in the right direction. And these colors, I do find that the darker your base color, the easier it is to line it up, because this is so soft and there's not a whole lot of difference between the Petal Pink and the white dots. It is a little trickier to line up. So, but thankfully it's pretty forgiving. It doesn't have to be perfect. You still get the details. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 3 flowers, and then of course there is a die that coordinates with it. So I believe it's this guy here, but I've gone ahead and I've die cut them, just so you didn't need to watch me do that. But I do want to stamp and die cut a greeting. So as part of this suite, there is a second bundle, and it is called Something Fancy, and there are fabulous dies that go along with this. These dies, these I think are going to be a new favorite of mine. I love dies like this where they work well with a stamp set, but they can work with so many other stamp sets as well. So you can see that it's all just label shapes. So you can really use them with any stamp set, right? So we're going to use this guy right here. I love this shape. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, you could do a bottle. You could make a flat bottom and you could do a bottle. You could kind of just straighten this and you could do a bottle with like details at the end, or a jar. Isn't that fun? So that's what I thought of when I first saw that. All right, and we're gonna make a sympathy card. So I'm choosing this green that says "With Deepest Sympathy." We're gonna use our Stampin' Write markers, and I'm going to use Balmy Blue for the word sympathy. And then I'm going to use some basic black for the rest of the words. And I am using the brush tip of our Stampin' Write marker. Stampin' Write markers are water-based, so you can use them on your stamps. You do not want to use Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol-based, on your stamps. So they are two very, very different types of markers. And I'm using the brush tip, and you can see that I'm using it at kind of a severe angle. So it's got quite an angle. And that just helps prevent the tip from fraying. Okay, then I'll give it a huff and stamp it down on here. Okay, now we are going to bring in our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, which you guys will see is a promotion during celebration. When you sign up to become a demonstrator, there are 3 different options for starter kits. I'm just looking for my plates here. Oh, here they are. So there is an option of a regular starter kit where you get to choose an additional, I think it's, oh, I should have double checked. You get extra product and you only pay $135, no shipping and no GST on top of that. Or you can pay a little bit more and you can choose to add on this little mini white machine and you still get the extra product. Or you can choose a third option where you can get a boho blue mini machine, which we as demonstrators were able to pre-order to get our hands on to share with you guys yesterday. So I've ordered mine. I can't wait to see it. Can you imagine this little mini machine in a really pretty color? And the boho blue is a little peek at an upcoming in color. So I'm super excited about that. If you've thought about becoming a demonstrator, celebration is a great time to join. And we have demonstrators on our team from all across Canada. We do virtual team meetings every month. It's lots of fun. All right. Just pop that out. There's our greeting. If you have shopped with me in the past year, then my catalogs, I went out, I dropped them off at the post office yesterday. So you should receive a catalog from me shortly. And I'm making deliveries later on today for my local peeps. I'll be dropping them off. Okay, so now I'm using actually a retired product. I wanted a thicker white ribbon, and I happen to have this. I believe this was one of the ribbons that was from the Flowers for Every Day or Flowers for Every Occasion. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I think there were 2 or 3 different ribbons in that collection. So I wanted a wider white. I happen to have a little bit of this left. So we're going to take some of this and we're going to add a little bit of seal adhesive right across here. Fold our ribbon in half and that's going to go on there. And then this is going to get popped up using dimensionals. I apologize for my sniffing. It's going to go on here like this. I think that's straight. And then we're going to add our flowers. So, and when I die cut a flower like this, I like to kind of use my fingers and give it a bit more dimension. So this guy's going to get tucked kind of underneath here. So we're just going to put a little bit of flat adhesive. Kind of tuck it. Oh, I don't want it to stick to that. Let's hold that down. Tuck it underneath here like that. Thank you for sharing, Shauna. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I will be giving this card away next week when I do a Facebook Live. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do a Facebook Live on Friday or if I will do it on Thursday next week, just because Friday's getting a little close to Christmas. I'm looking for my mini dimensionals here. Here we go. So I will draw, and if you share the video, you get an entry, and then you get an entry for each time you comment. I always love to see that you guys are watching, what you think, if you have any questions, and even just, especially while I'm doing the Facebook Live, I'm sitting here in a room by myself talking to a screen. So seeing your comments makes me feel like you're in the room with me. Okay, so I popped a little bit of a little mini dimensional there. I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on here. Okay, let's move this guy up just a little bit. Okay, we're going to adjust this just a little bit. Pop this guy up a little higher. I do want to be mindful I don't want it to stick off this side. And I'm going to pop a little mini glue dot underneath there just to hold that down. All right. I know, isn't this a pretty color combo? I love it. I've been really enjoying working with subtles lately. And you'll see the cards that I created for my masking paper class. They're all using, or most of the projects are using subtles. And I just love how they turned out. Okay, and then the last step is just to add a little bit of bling. So we're gonna add some of our iridescent pearls, basic jewels. And I'm just gonna add 3 of them on here. Yes, you're my invisible crafting friends. That's right. All right, welcome, Anne. All right, so we'll add 3 of those, and there we've got this beautiful sympathy card. And then I had some Balmy Blue DSP, so I thought we could dress up the envelope flap with a little bit of DSP. I love doing this. I just feel like it's a great way to use your DSP, but it also gives a little peek at kind of what's inside for the recipient. Let's hold this down here. So I usually cut about a 2.5 inch by 6 inch strip. And then just pop it on there with some multi-purpose glue and then trim around the edges. And then I had, after cutting the 2 envelope flaps, I still had a little 1 inch strip. So maybe we can add that to the inside. All right, so we've got that. So you can see it complements each other nicely with the polka dots from the splattering and then the polka dots on the DSP. And then we can add this guy on the inside here. Just like that. And then I think what I'll do is these flowers that I stamped but didn't die cut, I will add one of those kind of right here on the inside once I die cut them. That'll be a perfect way to bring in that little pop of coral on the inside. There we go. And isn't that beautiful? So pretty. I just absolutely love this technique. All right. So for those of you who joined in late, you want to definitely go back and watch the beginning because I used masking paper to mask this off. And then I did a bit of ink blending and some splattering to create, let me bring this a little closer so you can have a better look. So you can see those splatters on there. So fun. All right, so you guys want to see a peek at the masking paper class projects. So I had mentioned at the beginning that I love masking paper. And there are just so many things that you can do with masking paper. It's surprising, actually.
So I chose to use the Share a Milkshake bundle, which is something that's from the upcoming January to April mini catalog. It's such a cute set. I love that it can be used for birthdays, for just kind of like an anytime card, but then there is the Be My Valentine. I'm not a huge Valentine card maker. Now that my kids are older and we don't do treats for classrooms, and you know, I might make a couple Valentine's cards every year, but don't send out a whole lot. So, but I do like to have, you know, a Valentine greeting. So I love that this is a set that I can turn into Valentine's, or I can use this greeting and use it with some hearts or something else, something fun from a different set. So I always love that. And then of course there's some coordinating dies. You can see that several of the dies go with the images, but then there's a waffle cone, and then there's this. There's some little hearts in here. So there's lots of complementary dies as well. All right, so I've combined this set with masking paper and half a package of the Subtles DSP, and created, I'm going to do a quick flip through. We're going to do 4 different masking paper techniques in class. So create 4 different cards. Super cute. Last one is my favorite. And then I have a bonus 5th project that I'm going to actually share in a video early on in the new year that is super cute. I'll share a peek with you guys. It's a little bit more elaborate. So because this is an in-person class with the option to go as well, I thought that card was just a little bit too elaborate to do in person. So I'm going to do that as a separate video and attach it to the tutorial as well. So there is an in-person option on January 7th, and there's a to-go option. Okay, so the deadline was supposed to be yesterday, but I did extend it. I'm going to extend it until Sunday. So if you want to participate in the Share a Milkshake masking paper technique class, then head on over to the events page on my blog and check out the details. There's still time to register. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you next week. All right, take care. Bye, guys.